when we talk about the concept of spiritual adherence and obedience to the Almighty, we have to be clear that really there's nothing that as human beings that really we do for God. We do for ourselves. Our obedience to the Most High is for our own well-being. And I know when you read religious texts, sometimes it says, he's a jealous God, or it pleases God. I believe that the reason that it's described in this sense is because they had to use words that human beings and emotions that human beings would understand. But I don't really believe that God is that way. I don't believe that God is a jealous God. I don't believe that God feels the same emotions as most human beings. They say he's vengeful, he's angry. I don't believe that that's how God operates. I don't think that Allah is angry or hateful or cruel, I think it's unemotional. When we talk about spiritual laws, like the law of cause and effect, it's not emotional, right? It's not fueled by anger or fueled by emotions that human beings can relate to. It's just really more responsive, not even reactive, responsive. Okay, this is what you bring, well, this is what you get, pretty much. I've done postings, I've done videos about redemption. I truly believe in my heart that as long as you have breath, you are able to be redeemed. You are redeemable. I know that there's even stories in the Bible about somebody who has got like a bunch of footsteps. They walked and then like they had like all these sins. And I don't know. I mean, I've heard this stuff, but it's basically the story is like, if you just go the right way, even though you got all these sins, just this decision alone, you will be saved, essentially. But I think that part of what is the indoctrination on this earth is that a lot of people feel like they're too far gone. There's people that do very wicked things, and when they are given fair warnings of the consequences of the things that they do, they're like, well, I'm going to hell anyway, so, might as well, right? They feel like they're too far gone. They're like, I'm living in hell, I'm going to hell, I'm too far gone, there's nothing redeemable about me at this point. I've witnessed people, because they consider themselves too far gone, they literally are out destroying people's lives. Like similar to like a Unabomber's mentality, or like similar to like a mentality of like a suicide killer who goes up, shoots up a school, kills hundreds of kids, and then kills himself. Like it's that same kind of energy. Like, hey, if I go down, we all go down type thing. Like I'm too far gone with the amount of, transgressions or stains on my soul at this point for me to even consider the idea of salvation. And my thing is that's really more of an indoctrination than anything. Based off of my experience in Washington, D.C., the things that I've witnessed and what's been going on with me, again, I was making a joke yesterday. People are like, talking about me in these streets. I said, I'm in these streets, but I'm not of these streets. And people are saying, oh, was she signed a bad boy, as religious as she is, as much as she prays? She must have been on Puff's label. No, I wasn't signed a bad boy, but I am very spiritual, because what I had to gain the understanding of is that the Lord that I serve, the Almighty Allah, is the Alpha, the Omega, is the beginning and the end. And as long as I was in adherence and pleasing, that all of the things that were going to happen to me, all of the things that were happening to me would be like secondary. In Islam, the focus is really the hereafter more so than anything. Muslims don't really hold on to things of this world. It's more understanding that your existence is temporary, and your eternal soul is really what is the what is the most valuable. So we do things to preserve our souls. And I am saying I'm here for a good time and a long time, but in the sense of, if we're created in his image, and I know that God is unemotional, I've gotten to a point that I never really thought I'd get to, where I don't get sad. Like very seldom. Like I'll get maybe like a little bit. I don't get sad. Because I I know this sounds bad, but I have zero expectations of people at this point in my life. I've zero expectations. So I can't get disappointed in a human being because I just have no expectations. After the amount of persecution and betrayal and assassination of character, even family members that believed lies, that were willing to carry out lies, the attack on I can't get let down. I can't get disappointed by anybody. Not by a lover, not by a friend, not by a family member. I have no expectations of anyone, and I don't really put anything past anyone, to be completely candid with you. And I started thinking, like, is that healthy? Is that a good way to feel? And I was like, well, if Allah is unemotional and you are made in his image, then it's a good thing. I don't have any expectations of law enforcement, of government officials. I have no expectations of people doing the right thing. I have no expectations of it. So I don't get disappointed. I don't even get angry when I see things that happen that are just so vile, that are so despicable. I was like, yeah. And I also have the mentality of, like, I'm not taking on anybody else's, like, the behavior that you do that gets you further away from the kingdom, I'm not taking that on. Or your lack of willingness, to assist somebody because of you having a scarcity or a lack mentality, being afraid that people will come after you. I'm not taking on that cowardliness. I'm not letting that disturb my peace. If you're too much of a coward to do the right thing, and because people are like, we can take all of this away from you, whatever. You could justify it and say self-preservation is the first law of nature. Better you than me. There's a lot of ways to slice it and dice it. But just know that I'm not taking that on. I'm not allowing how other people treat me or the things that they do to stain their souls. I don't ingest that. And for that reason, I have a lot of peace, the greater understanding that this whole thing is a test. And so I say this to say that certainly I don't have any expectations of anybody to do what's right or anything like that, but I do expect of myself. So I'm to the point where the only person that I really could let down or, I could disappoint myself, that's it. I don't have any expectations as far as matters of the heart. I don't have any expectations from men. I don't have any expectations from women, from, potential friends. Or I have no expectations from relation. I was also thinking that when we talk about the day of judgment and we talk about this idea of fair and how Allah is fair, what does that mean? What does fairness mean? What does it mean to be fair? What does it mean to be just? What does it mean to be a judge? And I was thinking about the idea of, this whole thing of, like, we're all created equally and everybody is judged under the same standards. We don't play favorites here. You'll hear that in, like, certain companies, or, like, you'll hear that as far as, like, a mentality of certain government, governing bodies. Like, nobody gets, anything here. We're all equal. But I don't really believe that. I don't even think that man is necessarily even capable of that, because for most company heads, if you're going really hard, if I'm the boss and I'm an entrepreneur and you're going like the hardest out of everybody for me, then I'm naturally, like, most people are naturally have favorites. Like, most people, like, naturally are going to have some sort of an inclination to look at somebody who's working really hard for them or going really hard for them or, like, advocating really hard for them. They're going to be inclined to do that. But even, let's take it a step further. So this idea of equality and what is just, when we talk about the Creator, I don't think that it is just to judge or to have the same expectations of everyone, right? I went to school with certain people with learning disabilities, and they had been diagnosed with certain things in their brain. It was like a slight malfunction that they just were not able to retain information the way that their classmates and other counterparts were able to maintain and, to retain information, versus somebody like my brother who has a photographic memory, So his level of scholastic ability far exceeds somebody who has some sort of a learning disability. They have the Special Olympics because those people who are disabled, who are human beings, of course, they can't compete in the Olympics because they have a disability. They can't, many of them, they're hearing impaired or they're in a wheelchair or something like that. So this idea of everybody being equal, I don't even think that there's such a thing. You have people that are born with parents with extreme wisdom and they get knowledge right out the gate. And then you have people that are born literally, they find them in a trash can, abandoned, and they got to find their own way through the foster care system. So it's like this whole idea of equality is something that's like very man-made. Like we're all dealing with different things, right? Some of us, we have intellectual ability beyond words, but we also have certain things that are, a tremendous challenge to us. So even internally, there's really no such thing as like absolute equality. And so when I was thinking about judgment, and I was thinking about the judgment of the Most High, of the Creator that governs all things, I was thinking that that's the only fair judgment that's going to be able to be given. What I've witnessed a lot of times, like in these past few years, is like everybody's right now we're dealing with people who really want to play God, which is impossible. You can't play God. And the thing about judgment is like you have people that are judgmental, but what are their judgments rooted in? Certainly everybody has biases. It could just be that one teacher that looked like that one individual that you just loved out of this world. She was so kind to you growing up. And you met somebody and they just remind you of this teacher. You might just be giving them love out of nowhere. So we all have biases within us, right? You might be talking to a guy who's gotten his heart shattered by black women. His first heartbreak may be his mother. It may be maternal. And has a seed planted in him that now he spews his hatred out on black women or women that just happen to look like his mother. I mean, the psyche is intricate. Which is for that reason that I remain really as neutral as possible, because I don't have the time to be analyzing everybody's subconscious and what's swimming around in there and what drives people to do the things that they do. But when we're talking about Allah, when we're talking about the Almighty, we're talking about the Lord, as the Creator, who knows down to the inkling of like before we were conceived, like knows down to the emotions that a woman was feeling while she was pregnant, which definitely influenced that child, right? Knows down to your thoughts, knows down to every single step along the way that led you to this exact moment. All of the highs, all of the lows, the abuse, the trauma, the lack of respect, the indignation, the awards, the ceremonies, the jubilees, the accomplishments, the assassination of character, the intentions of every single person around you, their thoughts, their heart, their background. If they're wired for love, if they're wired for hate, if they're desperate, if they're thieves, if they operate from a source of scarcity or abundance, everything our Creator knows. And you can't fathom the magnitude of this power, which is why I can live a relatively stress-free life, because I know that, look, I'm only a human being. I'm a human being. I can just give it to God. Things that I don't understand. My heart used to be heavy about betrayal and painful about things that I gave people my heart and the things that they did with that. I don't feel that way. I don't feel that way. I don't feel that way. I don't know if somebody would be even capable of breaking my heart. I don't think that that can even happen anymore. With everything that I've been through and all the experiences that I've had and all the witnesses of betrayal and backstabbing and all of these things and assassination of character and things that, yeah, my heart can't be broken. It's impossible. So our Creator knows everything going on around us, everything. Which is why when people say only God can judge, really only God can judge. Now we can use evidence, we can use discernment, we can speculate, but we just don't know. We are not in a position to apply judgment onto somebody's life the way that our Creator is. And even if we were, there's no karma-free existence. So if you're trying to spew out some sort of, delegate some kind of punishment or wrath on another human being, have you ever questioned that maybe your execution of that punishment may be the punishment that you inherit? If God says vengeance is his, why? Because I know everything and I know the exact amount of punishment to delegate because I know everything. So I'll never be too harsh, but I'll never go too soft because I know everything surrounding the circumstance. Leave it up to me. I know for me, I pray a lot and I believe that for my enemies, whoever, whatever, I don't even really believe that I have enemies. I only believe that I have pupils. But for my enemies, I know that I pray and the feedback that I get is leave it up to me. Because I don't think that I'm even capable of even fathoming the plan that Allah has for my adversaries. I don't even think, and I'm very creative, but I don't even think I could even construe. I don't think I could even construe the magnitude of the wrath and the intricacies of how much he's going to F their lives. I couldn't even, it's not even within me. So when he says, stay out, get out of your own way, stay out of this because what I'm planning on doing, you couldn't even think of it. So with that being said, Allah knows exactly how much to give to somebody. And exactly how much punishment to unleash on someone. So what do you have to fear for? What do you have to be worried about? You know what I'm saying? There's really nothing to be worried about. You give your heart, you give your soul, you give your mind to the Creator. You leave it up to the Creator and let the Creator be the judge.